Matchroom debut complete, highlight reel knockout against a very overmatched opponent, let's be real. So Ben Whittaker knocks out Gavazi in the first round, knocked him out in about 90 seconds thereabouts. Look, from what I've seen in there, going into this fight, right? Ben Whittaker signed with Matchroom. It's very seldom you have a signing where you do a big press conference announcement, you do all this, you do the Jerry Maguire trailer, show me the money, all this, that, and the other. That's all well and good. You say he's going to be all these superlatives because the Matchroom statement they released, which I read in the video I did at the time, it was top of all these superlatives, this, that, and the other. And, Ben Whittaker, I've said this about him before. I think if you were to compare him to someone in terms of, fighters who are flashy, who are a bit arrogant, who've good athleticism on the British scene, he reminds me a little bit of Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly obviously was lighter, but the hype he's got behind him and this, that, and the other, he reminds me a little bit of that. Now, I've always said that I think that Ben Whittaker's ceiling is a lot higher than Josh Kelly. I think Josh Kelly's ceiling is really European level. That's really what it is. I think with the right instructions, with the right advice, with the right guidance, Whittaker can go somewhat further. Although the Liam Cameron fight, the first fight, the hard factor, the way he behaved after it, you do have to ask some questions. You have to. The way he behaved after it, the way he looked uncomfy in it, all that, you really do have to ask the questions of him. Now, in this fight against Gavazi, I knew when they announced him, I was like, okay, they've got an obscure opponent. I think he's from Germany. On paper, he's got a decent record, but literally that's what Anthony Yarde built his career on. He built his career on guys with records that on paper don't look too bad. Oh, he's only got one or two losses. Oh, he's beaten nobody, but maybe he's a revelation. We just don't know. And on fight night, we know. Oh, we absolutely know. And this was no different. Gavazi looked horrendous in there. He looked novice-y. His technique was all over the place. When he just tucked up, but not even sophisticated tucking up. He was not moving his head. He was just standing upright, giving Ben Whittaker ample opportunities to hit him. And, I do have to laugh because Darren Barker literally said on commentary that Gavazi looks novice-y. And he does, and he's right. And then says, but it's amazing from Whittaker. It's like, no, it can't be one or the other. He looks novice-y. And Ben Whittaker is just better, simple as. He's in there with someone overmatched. You can't just act like, what Ben Whittaker's doing is fantastic when he's in there with an absolute cream puff. Seriously, it's like saying that, oh my God, look at you, you're playing that video game, it's amazing. He's doing it on the easiest setting. Do it on a harder setting and see how amazing he is. But that's what I mean. You see what I mean? Like, you can't just turn around and be like, oh, it's amazing. And then it's like, yeah, but look, he's in there with, of course it's amazing. Anthony Yarde looked awful last week. He could go in there right now and probably do the same to Gavazi, no problem. So Gavazi wasn't that good, but Ben Whittaker, I do like what I'm seeing in terms of him training with Andy Lee because he seems to be sitting down the shots a lot more. And the combination that he first put Gavazi down with was really, really good. Combination of head and body. Gavazi, again, absolutely no defense to speak of, open target. But Whittaker put him down and Whittaker went about him. I think one of the complaints a lot of people had about Ben Whittaker, certainly back in 2024, was that he was going into these fights where he was the favourite, it has to be said, but he wasn't showing that devastating punching power. He wasn't showing the punch. And again, look, if you look at light heavyweight, you don't necessarily need it. Dmitry Bivol doesn't score knockouts. He's had one knockout since 2018. And I think that was against that, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was I think it was on the undercard of the Matchroom Queensbury 5v5. So he's had one knockout since 2018. But nevertheless, he's still able to win these fights, not just win them for the most part, unless Beterbiev win them soundly. So you don't need punching power necessarily. But when you look at someone like Bivol, he has the footwork, he's the technique, he's everything, apart from punching power. With Ben Whittaker, you just see athleticism and you don't see really much else. So a lot of people have been saying they want to see more from Whittaker in terms of punching power. And we saw that against Liam Cameron, and we definitely seen it here. When he got him from the second knockdown, Ben Whittaker said about him, and then put him down again. This time it was just resounding, boom, wave it off, no count needed. And Ben Whittaker moves on. Now, again, for your Matchroom debut, I can't really be... I'm critical, but I'm not going to be that critical because at the end of the day, okay, fine, it's your first fight in it's your first fight in 7-8 months. It's your Matchroom debut, get a highlight reel, knockout and move on. But I think we need to see Ben Whittaker matched a little bit tougher than this at the end of the day because in my opinion, Liam Cameron fought a few weeks ago, he didn't look good. A lot of people felt like he lost that fight. He would have beat this guy soundly. The guy who Ben Whittaker fought Gavazi, he would have beaten him soundly. Let's not beat around the bush here. It wouldn't have been competitive. It would have been an easy win for Liam Cameron. we need to see him move up a level, because this to me is just a downgrade. This is a downgrade. Ben Whittaker needs to go and move through the gears, move through to the opponents. So I'd like to see him in there. If they're not going to match him with, say, the winner of David, or what was his name, Dan Aziz against Craig Richards, because they're fighting on December 20th in Ghana, I believe is where they're fighting. If they're not going to, if he's not, I think he's ready for that. I think they need to match him against someone like that. If they're not going to do that, they need to look at someone a little bit better than Liam Cameron. Because if they're not going to match him against someone like, you know, the winner of Dan Aziz, and I think it'll be Craig Richards personally, then why not match him with someone like a Zach Parker? Because Zach Parker coming off a win, well, not a win, in my opinion, he's coming off a win over Joshua Buatsi, but he's still a fairly, you know, limited fighter. You know, Zach Parker has had some, you know, performances where you really shake your head and you're like, what the hell? You know, quitting against John Ryder, getting a gift decision over that Darryl Williams kid back in the day. There's an opponent for you. I think he needs to, look, we can move him a lot faster in terms of, you know, the opponent he fought, Gavazi. He's better than that, like much better. So I think that Eddie Hearn and his team need to have a look. Ben Whittaker can go out pretty early next year because that was a fairly run-of-the-mill, easy fight. So I think that's what Eddie Hearn and his team are going to do. They've got a potential star there in Ben Whittaker, but we need to see more at the end of the day. And while I think he has a higher ceiling than someone like a Josh Kelly, who Eddie Hearn also promoted back in the day, I don't know exactly how high that ceiling is. Is it a world title level? Because we've heard Ben Whittaker mention the likes of Dave Benavidez. Listen, Ben Whittaker would get beaten worse than Anthony Yarde. He would get splattered around that canvas like that. But is he, maybe in 2 years, could he hold his own? Could he do something? Maybe, if he's matched the right way. But again, I don't know. The jury's, I think he's, let's say the jury's still out on him. It is and it isn't. I think that he can do something, but to say and proclaim him as, you know, the best light heavyweight, you know, up and coming, this, that, and the other, no, I need to see more, but there's certainly something there, if nothing else. So that's what I think about Ben Whittaker. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Personally, for me, I want to see him out quickly, because if you think about it like this, in the calendar year of 2025, he's had 3 rounds. It's not enough. He's 28 years old. This was only his, 11th or 12th pro fight. Needs more. Need to see more. So get him out early next year. Let's see what he has to offer. Let's see what he can do. And yeah, let's see the trajectory that Eddie Hearn takes him on. I think Frank Warren, I've always said this, is a better matchmaker. He's better at, you know, building a fighter up. Eddie Hearn can sometimes build them up very good, and then he makes strange decisions. So let's see what he does next year. Hopefully nothing too strange. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Ben Whittaker gets the win, comeback win, first round knockout. Guy was overmatched completely. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Until next time. Peace.